Go ahead. You're basically, section off a piece of this with your eyeball, make a line, and then, you're playing connected dots the whole time. And it helps to have a offset light source so you can move it around and see the reflection when your hammer hits each time. And you're not hitting it hard, you just kind of bounce the hammer on the surface. And ideally, every time I roll this plate around on this surface, I can hit in a different spot. So, okay, now the whole plate has been planished, so we've hit this entire plate from the other side. You can see the shape has changed quite a bit. It's now got a real nice roll to it there. What we're going to do next is start putting the ridge, or this higher raised part, in it. So the shape kind of goes up and then back down at an angle lightly that way. So the same thing that we did on this plate here, we're going to start working the hammer back and forth in here to help put that ridge in it, and you work it a little bit at a time. So we're going to start here, and then we're going to move out a little bit. We don't want to dish this deep on the sides at all because that part's kind of flat anyway. So we're going to work down in here, and then ultimately this part here is probably going to be the deepest part from this side, the high point. So we're going to take the hammer, come over to the other side over here, and we planished the entire thing with the flat side of the hammer. And as I'm sure you noticed, we used the ball for the dishing part. So you just flip the hammer over, and we're going to work that back and forth in here. So over here. So we'll start working that ridge there. So when you turn that back over, you've got a whole bunch of little more dents in it that lift that portion of it up. I'm moving it around like this so hopefully the light catches and you can see the different raised parts there. So then you turn that back over onto the ball. If you look here, you can see where that starts to raise up a little bit in there. Turn it back over and planish it all out over again. You don't have to hit every single square millimeter of this here surface now because you're working it back and forth to put the shape in it. And when you're done, you're going to give it another once over anyway. So. Again, this is a pretty heavy piece of metal here. It's pretty stout, so we're hitting this a little harder than you would on a lighter piece of metal. There. Let's see. Okay. Every time you do that, every time you bend them, you do that to the metal there. When you put a dent in it, it puts the dent in it, and it distorts the shape of the metal. Then when you flip it over and you hit it from the other side, you're stretching it. So it's a two-fold process, okay? So you put the dent in it, and then when you hit it from the other side, you're stretching the whole thing. So we're stretching that entire piece of metal out. You have to do it slowly so you don't put a hole in it or mess it up entirely. Now the high point of the armor plate is going to be right about here. So we're hitting that a little deeper, hitting that a little bit harder. And remember, if you have a very high spot in the center, that's going to be your deepest hit, and it's going to get lighter as it comes out because you're trying to build a tapered curved surface. So we're putting some more of a little bit of a curve right out there, because again, this is all a high point through here. And you can see it's starting to get a bulge in it right about in here. So we're going to go back, planish that down again. Okay, it's starting to get a raised part right there, so that's how you do that back and forth.